Should be live. I think we can skip the recap.
Okay.
Alright, so we'll be picking up in Rubik.
Fair enough. That's the one I gotta win.
Yep. So the people there are quite against the actual construction of your church.
Okay. What's the general sentiment?
They simply just don't believe that religion has a place in their society.
But they are somewhat from the kingdom of the sun, right? They used to have a religion in their society before.
They're not exactly from the kingdom of the sun. They have... Rubik's was more of an independent settlement. It was within the domain of the kingdom of the sun previously. But that was only because the Kingdom of the Sun pretty much claimed everything that other factions did not. Rubik's is one of the only societies in the southern half that was always dwarves and humans.
Right. And how did they go about having clerics?
They didn't. They just don't have that sort of...
Well, what did they use instead of clerics?
When they needed it, they would call in druid.
Did they have druids stationed?
No.
Okay. And what about paladins?
There were limited access to paladins.
Right.
The people here are very focused about their craft. A lot of the dwarves especially. Their skill and their craft, it is what drives them. The amount of passion that they have behind that could be seen as a faith of its own.
Okay. Well, that's very interesting because I can definitely assist them with their craft. That's an interesting angle to take, I think.
So the dwarves in this area don't really have a leadership structure.
Okay. Do they have like crafting guilds or something?
Not exactly. They have the Forge, which is a massive building that is dedicated to the actual craft itself.
Okay. So, in this forge, are there any leaders in this forge? No.
No, it functions based off respect.
Okay. How about the clerics that I have? What do they're from here, or some of them? Actually, the first 6 were from here. What do they think about all of this? Like, they chose to join this semi-religion organization.
They just didn't really see eye to eye with the native upbringing that they had.
Okay.
It wasn't for them.
Right. And do they know some more people who are with similar views that might be leaders of sorts?
Most people with similar views leave the town.
Fair enough. Okay.
There might be some, but they don't particularly know them. It's rare for people to really speak up about that sort of viewpoint.
Okay. In that case, what about the paladins in particular? You said that there are some paladins.
Yep.
Is there some prevalent orders in the city?
There's only really one.
Which one?
The Rubik's Guard.
They sworn to protect Rubik's?
The people of Rubik's, specifically.
What is their opinion of Anexalia as a whole?
They think Zarthix is a terrible person.
But yet,
they would not be apart if they did not face destruction.
and that's okay with their oath?
They had to save their people.
I mean, their people are pretty safe right now. So, they're still okay with Zarthix?
What are they to do?
No. Go suicide.
If they rise up, their people die. If
Why would their people die?
Zarthix destroys cities that resist.
They don't have to resist as a city. They can go ahead resist on their own.
A few people against an army of over 10,000 dragons.
Well, I'm just trying to judge their conviction to this Zarthix hate. Okay. So they generally everything to do with protecting Rubik's is handled by this Rubik's god. Okay.
Outside the forge itself, there is a nobility and a power structure.
Mm-hmm. That is right. What is their opinion of Zarthix?
The noble doesn't really mind him. Everyone else is a bit wary. They're a little disgusted that he took all of his power by force, but none of them really have any ability to stop him from doing anything.
Okay. Do they who's the noble?
Lady Catherine.
What's her story?
She was one of the members of the guard in the city. She's been a member of the guard for probably the past 25 years.
So
at this
she's
point.
a paladin?
Fighter paladin.
Okay. But wait a second. The guard hates Zarthix. The other nobility hates Zarthix, but Lady Contrine doesn't mind Zarthix.
No.
Interesting. I do wonder why. Is there any what's the kind of adventuring situation in the city?
A lot of their adventuring is to do with temple exploration.
Like old temple exploration?
So, in the Shifting Sands, the actual structures move from month to month.
Yeah.
Some of the exploration is actually finding the structures again, so that research can continue on figuring out and trying to uncover the secrets of this temple. And then sometimes they launch expeditions into the temple, and that's where they bring in adventure.
Okay. And the guard doesn't go into temples?
No.
And what about the exploring? Who does that?
They tend to bring in rangers for that.
Okay, so they hire people to explore, and then they hire people to adventure, and they don't. Okay. Who seems to be like driving this exploration?
I would be Lady Catherine herself.
Okay. Good. All right.
She is a 6'8" human.
Fair enough. I'm just trying to think. Is there some friendly artificers? That or blacksmiths that I would know here? Probably not. I met. Oh, he took everyone. The bard I met took everyone away. Okay. So here's okay. Do any of my, let's see, who did I say I'm taking here? Let me just take a look again. Right. So I was the opinion that Owen, who had this family tragic backstory, would be interested in returning to Rubik's and starting to set up his temple thing, or whatever he wants to do. Does he have any?
Should have been his order.
I think it was his family, no? Got his backstory over here. Biography. His family was betrayed and murdered. Long-term goal to build a shrine memorial to honor his family's memory. Family of warriors raised to be a defender.
I was getting the NPC mixed up with some.
So what's the deal with his family? Does he have like some connections still here? Is there still people who know his family?
There are people who knew his family, but he doesn't really have anyone else left here, really.
How?
Let me check his extended family.
It doesn't have to be family. It's more like if his family was, how notable was his family? Would his name swing something? Like, would there be some people who are more interested in listening to him because of his family?
No, at the time that his family was betrayed, their reputation was almost entirely destroyed.
Fairly or non-fairly?
Oh, and says unfair.
Okay. What happened?
Give me 2 moments. Alright. So, at the time that the actual city was sieged by Zarthik, Owen's family was one of the few families that actually, marched to the front gate. They were lower ranking knights in the actual army.
They went to try and defend against Zarthix.
Yeah.
But what do you mean by they were betrayed?
So, when they actually got to the front gate, Lady Catherine started talking to Zarthix and organized an actual surrender for them.
Ah.
A lot of the people at the time weren't happy with it. So a couple of these families stood up and tried to take the city back when kobolds and dragonborn were placed here just until power could be formalized here. Zarthix's control could be formalized.
Alright. And Lady Catherine was already the noble at that time.
She wasn't a noble, but she was one of the guard.
Oh, so he kind of made a deal with Zarthix and took over the city.
Yeah.
Okay. What about
Owen's family and a couple of the others launched an organized and launched an attack to actually try and take back the city. It did not go well. They killed quite a few of the Dragonborn kobolds, but then there was starting to be conflicts within the guards itself. So some of the guards would get wind of this, then they would try to apprehend the other guards that were causing this, and it looked not only terrible for the entire guard organization, but also the entire town as a whole. It looked like the town was going to implode on itself. In order to quell this entire situation, Lady Catherine and several of the higher-ups basically decreed that anyone who attacked a kobolds or dragonborn were to be killed or executed.
And I assume they did that.
Yeah.
So the gods want to protect the city, executed citizens.
They executed people who betrayed the
But the leadership of why did they betray the city? Who negotiated the surrender?
Lady Catherine.
Did she have authority from the current noble, whoever that was?
So the city operated on a council.
Yeah.
The council's orders were to fight to the death, and she refused to let everyone die for the sake of the council keeping control.
So she staged a military coup.
For the sake of the people.
And what do the people think about this? Well, obviously, those who were against it already died.
Yeah, a lot of the people who were against it died. They're not happy that the people were executed. They think that was going too far. But they're also happy that they're not dead or imprisoned. They preferred how things were originally, but if it's between how things are now and being dead, they are willing to accept how things are.
How were things originally?
Food was a bit more scarce originally, but people were wealthier. They were able to afford not only trips to other towns and such to actually get food and then bring it back, because people used to buy. So this town almost entirely functions off rations, I should start with. It imports pretty much all of its food.
Right, because it's in
People
the
would
desert.
go out to places, buy mass amounts of rations, and then come back because it was cheaper to take the time off of work to go buy it and then come back than it was to buy it here.
Okay. Wow. Okay. So they had to travel to get food. But what was better?
The people were a lot more free.
What kind of freedoms are they missing now?
They weren't paying a substantial portion of their wages to Zarfix's taxes to actually fund other cities. The only real benefits that they're getting here is subsidized birth, which is something that this region has been taking heavy advantage of. Catherine's been a heavy supporter of this action.
Okay.
And the other things are their crafts and trade. The military of the actual nation itself has been pressuring this location to drastically lower their prices so that they can buy the weapons here for use in the military, because this probably is the highest crafting quality location in the nation, other than Oren's little area, but that's not really publicly known. A lot of the weapons that he produces end up getting sold here.
Okay. Thinking. Oh, okay. We're going to need to get good relations with all of them, or at least 2 out of 3, I suppose. So neither Owen or Gorn really have anybody they know. Is that correct?
There's a couple people that they know, just most of them are. One of them is. So Owen knows a herb specialist. And Gorn knows a current guard.
The current what?
One of the current guards.
Okay, well, if they, I mean, it's at least something. Have them, I don't know, talk to them, see if, what I want them to ask. If there's any particular issues in the city right now that are pressing, that are not spoken about openly, you know.
One of the first things that you would be hearing about is a lot of the people in this region are very, very unhappy with the new education system.
Which is
So everyone from, I think it's just over 4 years of age, has to go to Illuminara.
from 4 years of age. Isn't it a bit
It's around
later?
4 years of old.
Okay.
It could be 5, maybe 6. I just need to get the thing up, but it is quite young. And they pretty much just don't come back.
Right.
It's quite expensive to get teleported in and then teleported out of there.
Well,
So
teleported
most
out of
people-
there is not very expensive, but to get teleported in it is. Okay. Can clerics cast teleportation?
Clerics themselves cannot, but they can usually, where is it? Playing the ally and things like that can grant them access to it indirectly. But they don't really directly get teleportation.
Right. Well, they need too much of a high level to do that. What's the cost of teleporting again? $100?
It is $100.
Yeah, that's way too much. Not doable. How big is the city?
Around 25,000.
So that will make like several hundred children, or even several thousand children. Okay. Fair enough. That's per person, right?
Yes.
What is the actual cost of teleporting a person?
It is 100 gold coins.
So, all right.
I will quickly grab.
Yeah, that's fine. I need to consider. what kind of so church allows a spell to be cast, right? Or to have an effect there. Are there any teleportation or communication effects that are possible?
It would need to be a cleric.
Well, sending is a cleric spell.
Yep.
See. What are all the cleric spells? Gate is a cleric spell. But I suppose I can't have permanent gates.
Once you get to the point where you can actually have permanent 9th level spells, if you can't already, you could probably have a permanent gate set up. It'd just be.
I'm not sure I can have
Swap into
permanent
one.
9th level spells though. How do I find that out?
Let me take. Should be in the church. Where is previous? Caps out at permanent 6.
Okay. Word of Recall is a cleric spell.
Yeah, I believe it's 6.
Yes.
Alright, you can access the 6 level spells at church level 18.
Well, I mean, I just need clerics who can cast it at this point.
Fair.
Like,
Let me take. I believe your highest level cleric.
not
But the
can't
highest level
cast
cleric
spell.
is level 7.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Well, actually, my highest level cleric is me. But I don't know how long I want to commit myself to being a taxi.
You do actually have a level 9.
Also can't commit
Oh, no,
my
he's
highest level cleric to being a taxi either. Yeah, he would be 7 cleric to fight if he's level 9. 5, yeah. What about using church points to cast spells? How does that work?
So for every cleric you've got stationed at a location that goes at church daily, the church regains 1 point. Can have a max number of points equal to all of the clerics who reside at that location. And then those points can be spent like spell points in order to cast spells.
Okay. So basically, if I say, okay, so fine, I'll taxi, all right? I'll taxi until my clerics can do it. because it's not going to cost me anything. I will offer to teleport. Well, I would need to put the church in. Oh no, actually, yeah. To do that, I'd need another church in Illuminara, but I'm assuming that's not going to be a big issue. If it's
You cannot have a church based inside of Illuminara.
Is there no churches based inside of Illuminara?
No.
Are they never going to have one?
At this stage, it's prohibited.
Okay. Okay, so it's gonna cost me something, but then I can. Well, actually, no, that's fine because I need the word of recall to Illuminara. Fuck. So best I can do is word of recall to Haven, which is like a week's trip from Illuminara.
Yeah, it's about a week.
So that's like actually makes it viable. Okay.
Yep, I'd get them 3 weeks a year, but they can be a fifth.
Would it? Well, how does the school work? Can they take time off at any time, or is it a particular period?
So when you start at the academy, you're basically put on a schedule.
Mm-hmm.
We'll call that a year level. So
right.
Every year level has its own time off.
Okay, so it's staggered.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. Well, I can now seek out an audience with Lady Catherine because I have something to offer.
All right. Good. Accept the audience.
Perfect. So I would ask Lady Catherine. Well, as Lady Catherine, as I'm sure you're aware, Darthix has decreed that Church of my order may be established in your city. I understand that it's not necessarily to your liking. However, I believe that if you allow us to do this, I would be able to offer something valuable to the community of Rubik's.
I'm not opposed to you setting up here. I don't think it will go well, but I am not going to take any actions to prohibit it, or attempt to stand in your way in any way.
Well, I suppose what I'm trying to say is I would like some support as well. I'm sure that coming from you, it will be received much better than from me if I lay out my offer to the people of the city.
Make me a believer in whatever you preach, and I will grant you my support. But until I believe in what you do, I will not support you publicly.
That is fair enough. Would you at least hear out my offer?
Of course.
The offer that I have, should we be able to establish a church here, is to provide free transport for children from here to Haven. Haven is only a week's travel from the academy, which would allow all children to spend 3 weeks a year with their families here.
I see. I would certainly tax the city quite a bit.
Tax the city.
We subsidize a lot of the food here quite heavily.
But
Having all of those extra mouths to feed.
It would make the people happy. So it's not great for the children to be away from their families for years and years without a chance to see them. Neither is for the families to let their children go at such a young age and hardly ever see them again.
Yes, but we'd be exchanging one problem for another.
3 weeks a year? Child? How many children do you have? A couple of thousand? Which you are already feeding? Or at least were until very recently? It's an equivalent of an extra 150 people of your population. We can, if that's such a...
We had 11,200 children here.
Out of a population of 25,000?
28,400.
Okay, so...
We have 28,400 adults and roughly 11,200 children.
Okay, fair enough. I'll calculate again.
Roughly 40% of our population.
Well, that would then equate to having an extra 550 people out of 28,000. An extra 2%. What is your current spending on food, if I may know? Perhaps we can subsidize this as well.
Very well, let me get that. Okay, we currently spend about 32,000 gold daily.
Daily? Spend 32,000 gold daily? More than a gold per person for food. How is that possible?
We are usually the third or fourth person in any given food production chain. Look around, we're in a desert.
What?
Food does not grow here, so we have to go out and buy it. Usually we teleport in mass shipments. Sometimes we send out small trade groups to go and purchase them. We try to cover about 80% of the cost of food ourselves. We're able to do that through our agreements with Zarthik. He's agreed to subsidize a good portion of that for us. But with the academy, he cut out the children budget.
Whoops. So, with my calculation, 500, 600 gold a day. Alright, in that case, I believe the best course of action would be to secure some discounts on the food you're importing, because these prices seem rather steep.
Everyone's had to make their prices quite steep in order to make a profit. Zarthix keeps raising taxes. Same amount of money doesn't go quite as far these days.
Indeed.
No, I have a long-term solution, but that's going to take over a decade to fully manifest.
Could consider assisting with that.
Do you have a large labor organization by any chance?
Can't say I have a large labor organization. Depends on, well, it also depends on how large we're talking. But
Couple thousand.
I have a couple of thousand employed, but they are busy. Perhaps I could do something with magic. What is your plan?
Creating our own water source.
You plan to dig down or across?
Across. Any attempts to dig down will only get destroyed by sand.
Across. We're talking how many miles?
Hundreds in some locations, thousands in others.
Let's focus on Rubik's.
Focusing on Rubik's neglects all of the other areas in this domain.
Focusing on Rubik's allows us to save the most amount of money the fastest, as it is the largest city.
And cuts off a good portion of our funding from Zarthix because the city itself becomes self-sustaining for the most part then. And he's going to care a lot less about the tiny towns if the city is fine. I agree with you a lot of the time. You said your name was Shade?
Yes.
Unfortunately, Zarthix has been a pain, to put it mildly.
I can see your predicament. James, what is the current plans for food production in Haven? How much capacity can we establish at the bottom of the mountain?
Sorry, just gained a useful measurement. At the moment, by the end of this year, we'll have enough food to feed 6,000 people.
Okay. And if we accelerate because at the bottom of the mountain, I imagine there's quite a bit of space. So our limiting factor is how fast we build up the food production.
So there is currently 3 different limitations. Wild kobolds, but that is a relatively small issue that you will.
We have a Shadrach for that.
Yeah. The snow,
which needs to be melted away.
Yep.
Fair enough. And then we need druids to process the land.
Yeah.
And okay. What would it? And we 6,000 people, so that's kind of what Haven needs itself.
4,000 of that is roughly profit in terms of.
So we will have extra 4,000.
Yes.
Okay.
Extra 3,500 roughly.
If we invest a little more, can we speed up to get a little more by the end of the year? Knowing, because if we sign a contract here, right, we'll know that we'll sell it at the end of the year. So we could invest more into building it up.
All right. Let me take.
This is where my church spreadsheet is gonna come in handy because I'm gonna know how much money I have to invest in this. Uh,
Alright, so at the moment the limiting factor is the druid's ability to cast plant growth.
okay. Is it possible to hire a couple of druids?
Should be. Well, it will be. I'm just looking at what the...
How much it will be, yeah.
It could be at least 50. So that's not too difficult. Alright, so that'd be $10 a day.
$10 a day. That's doable for me.
Yep. So each one would be 18,750. And let's see how many of those you would need.
What do you mean 18,000? $10 a day.
Oh, that's per year.
10 times 375 is not 18,000.
Sorry, that I had times 5 for that.
Ah, $10 per day per level.
No, it's 3,750.
Right, yeah, okay, correct. How much can each one increase the plant growth by?
Where is my modified rules for player growth? I've not had to look at that since Cal. There. Each time they cast it, 100-foot radius can become enriched. And that takes 8 hours for them to enrich it. And that lasts a year.
Oh, so they have to constantly cast it. So they have to be constantly employed to provide the benefit.
Yeah, the effect lasts when.
Okay. That's worrying. And the land at the bottom of the mountain is non-fertile without this?
Correct.
It doesn't become permanently fertile if we cast this enough?
So basically it just starts losing quality over time. Think of it slightly like a health bar. Every time it hits 0, it reduces a tier of quality, and then the health bar slowly reduces again, and then it loses another tier.
What if we make everybody shit in the field?
That won't really do much. It's because of the temperature of the air.
Oh, I thought you said the temperature isn't that low.
Not at the top of the mountain, but at the bottom it is snow.
Ah, so at the top of the mountain it's not cold, and at the bottom it is cold.
Yeah.
Okay.
Though plant growth makes it livable for the most part. Well, foodable.
Can it be? What about? Can you do it in the desert?
Yeah, you just need water.
Ah, okay. So once they get water, they can do it, but they don't have water. Makes sense. Okay. So what is the kind of how much does it cost apart from the druids to make this work? Like to expand the farmland?
Alright. I hate acres. I hate it with a passion.
I mean, yes.
That's true.
Sorry, I'm just going through the extra steps of making this easy to modify formula.
Probably a
that
good
I can
idea.
change some variables for when you ask me in a different way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Alright, so to dig out the area for that one druid can do per day, it is $20.
Right, so it brings it to $30 a day.
Yep.
And how much food does that give us? How many people does that feed?
Oh, so the druid tends up area once per year. The people tend to it once per year each. The
The
people
people
only
just
tend to it
once. Yeah. So I'm just interested in how much food does one druid manage to produce? How many people does one druid feed per year? So like the 20 gold is the upfront cost. Fine.
Sorry, I just noticed an error with my math. I'm trying to figure out why. Where that's that. Alright, so in 1 year, a druid is able to create enough food to feed.
Suspenseful pause.
To feed 10 people for a year.
10.
Yep, so 3,000 meals.
That makes no sense. Wait a second. The druid enriches a huge ass area every day.
A 100-foot radius.
No, half a mile radius.
No,
If you cast spell,
I don't allow that section of a spell.
so you have to cast it for 8 hours, but you only do 100 foot. So a druid can feed 10 people, you're saying?
Yeah. Average farm is able to feed 5 people per person.
Okay. Well, that's just that's no. That doesn't make any sense. Why are we even doing this then? Because this isn't economical. Why would we be doing this?
Alright, let me go over this from the start. Normal person's able. This thing's getting its own spreadsheet tab.
I can see how you got to 10 people, but that's not economical. I can't pay a druid 10 gold to feed 10 people. That's a gold per person. Without taking any other costs into account. In Haven, we had like one druid who was able to buff the farm that fed 1,000 people.
I'm just moving everything to the same actual, what is it called, measure units, just to make sure the conversions aren't breaking.
Okay.
That might make it easier to see if there's any actual issues. Okay, I have found the issue.
Okay.
That was for one section of land.
Yes, that's why I was confused. That's even what I asked. So a druid can feed 3,750 people.
And you want this in yearly measurement?
It's probably easiest to just do it by year, yes.
Okay, so each druid can do 735 people.
735. Okay.
A year.
Okay, so 735. Means it's the costs are 20 silver. How many druids can we get? You know. How many druids can we get within the year?
Let me take a look and see what the offers are. Just because druids don't usually work for purely gold, they work for other things. So I'll take a look at a couple different... So this is for Haven?
Mm-hmm.
So they'll have to take Calno off of it permanently, but they can get up to 13 druids, all capable of casting this spell.
What about Kalno? I don't quite get that.
Druid covens don't like druids from other covens, so if they're coming there to work, they cannot work there with Calno.
Okay. That's no problem. I mean, Kalno has other things to do, much better things to do. So it's 750 people times 13. Okay. So we can basically get 14,000-ish food by the end of the year. So what I will do is I will say, well, I would have to verify the finances. But I will also use this as an opportunity to show you what we stand for. We will not look to make. We'll look to make a deal that profits everyone equally. I believe that would be able to sign a contract to supply Rubik's with enough food for around 10,000 people starting from the end of this year at a significantly reduced cost to you. And
Can you give me an estimate of how much?
I estimate that the production cost would be around 2 silver. We have to make an upfront investment of 4 silver. For the first year, that does not yet include transportation costs. However, how much do I think transportation costs will cost? So we transport a bunch of shit.
Okay, so given the distance, you've pretty much got to get it teleported.
Right, of course.
That's...
Mm-hmm. Well, basically, talking about what is the cost of freight teleportation. Also keeping in mind we can eventually have word of recalls, but not yet. Although I don't know how much freight word of recall can carry. Bags of holding. Well, I have an extra tier 5 bag of holding.
Alright, what is the weight capacity on the tier?
Unlimited.
Alright, what is the size capacity?
I have no idea. I think isn't tier 5 just unlimited?
No.
Okay. Okay, let's take a look. I suppose I need to go into the mechanics dock. Find the enchantment. It's 1 pound, right? A ration is 1 pound?
Our ration is 2 pounds. 1
2
pound
pounds.
of food, 1 pound of...
Okay. We have enough water in Haven, right?
Yeah.
But would they need us to make rations, or are they okay with us just shipping them food and water? Does it have to be made into rations?
For it to be preserved to last longer than a week, yes, it will need.
Well, that depends on how frequently we ship it, right?
Yep.
Where the hell are these enchantments? Magical effects? Magical effects. Guarding, regeneration, slow effects. Dimensional space. No weight limit, 500 cubic feet. How much is a cubic foot?
not that large. 500 cubic feet is quite a bit of space.
I don't know how to count how many rations would fit. Let's see. The cubic foot of water is 63 pounds. Just assume food is the same. So 30 rations times 500, 15,000. So we'd need to go daily. That adds, say 10, that adds 100 gold to the cost. One extra silver to have somebody transported in a tier 5 bag of holding every day.
Okay, so the tier 5 bag of holding can safely hold 4,000 of those.
Why only 4,000?
Volume of the container.
I just checked that a cubic foot of water is 62 pounds. And I did the math of that. But even if this guy has to go 3 times, it's 3 silver. Or maybe there's more other bags of holding available. Like I don't imagine bags of holding are going to be the problem here.
Yeah, that's not the issue. I'm just setting the formula up so that I can quickly augment it. I just need to know how many one bag of holding can hold so that we can see how many bags of holding are needed. Because a person can go through with pretty much 1, 2, 3, 4, 6.
I mean, yeah, we can probably get a bunch of small ones as well. Or I can lend him this one. He can go multiple times. It's not. This doesn't significantly increase the cost. Okay. What about fabricating the rations? I remember that this was a very cheap process.
I don't even think I have to do the math with this one. I've already got that in another one. I do for Haven. Alright. The ration packs. They can do 10 ration packs, 8 ration packs. Where's it? 5 rations are in a ration pack.
Also, what level is the preserve food spell from druids?
I believe it's 2nd level.
So can these druids just also preserve food?
Yeah.
Alright, well, why don't we do that? If we're already paying them. And then the city can have non-ration food as well. Even better.
Alright. To get them to do that, would you like to reduce the amount of time that they work in the fields each day, or
Aren't they working? How much time would it take them to do this?
RB spell requires 1 hour.
And they can cast it like 2 or 3 times.
Yep.
I honestly, I just don't know. I don't know how much it's gonna cost, because that's the answer, right? I'll figure out. What I'm doing is I'm figuring out what is the cheapest way to send food there, and from what I know, rations cost like 1 silver to fabricate, because I tried to start that business and then you shut me down, saying that there's wizards fabricating rations for 1 silver.
Yeah, the fabricate spell is... We're working with ration packs, which is like 5 rations per pack, and they can do 1, 2, 3, 4, 20, 40, nearly 100 rations per cast.
So you know what? I don't really care which one it is. If it's 1 silver to
just move past this and say that you get this organized, and then
right.
you can get the math done another.
Right. So basically, I think what it comes out to is our cost is like 25 silver. Do we need to pay anyone else? Do we need to like pay people to pack it, pay people to move it? I suppose our costs would go up to like 30 silver or something, because it's in Haven. It's relatively efficient. Haven's making the food, Haven's selling the food. Right. So their current cost is 125. So basically, the offer would be that it would seem rather fair to split the difference and sell it at 75, meaning Haven can make about half a gold, and the city saves about half a gold. Okay. And that should ease your funds burden enough to feed the children. it was only 2%, and this is more than 2% saving. Very well. What else can I do to convince you that we mean what we stand for?
Well, tell me what you stand
We are against exploitation of people. We are for fairness, fair deals, fair treatment, equal treatment. We are for protecting the citizens of Anexalia and of other countries as well, should it come to that. We also happen to be against orcs. The members of my order have been both providing free medical assistance and with about half of their resources, and with the other half charging reasonable rates for other services without trying to extort anyone or pitch prices.
So you're above exploitation, and yet you are in Alexalia?
Would you have...
I'm just interested to see how you're handling the whole Zarthix of
the whole Zarthix of it.
Yeah.
I'm not too familiar with the dealings of Zarthix himself.
You've seen how he handles taxes.
And I've seen what these taxes go towards. An incredible educational facility, sponsoring food, sponsoring healthcare, building roads. The money certainly isn't all being stored in his pocket.
From what I can tell, only 18% of it is going to those sorts of things.
Well, where do you think the rest is going then?
That's a good question. Unfortunately, I'm too busy making sure everything here doesn't starve, burn, or fall apart.
Zarthix, I wouldn't really know where the rest of the funds are going. And while it might be something to investigate in the future, I'm not sure that... Look, there are definitely people who exploit other people almost everywhere, but there are different levels to it. In the Kingdom of the Sun, the rulers simply sent out sacrifices to placate the orcs, sent out people to be captured and slaved by orcs. Just so they...
Because the few for the many, I can understand.
perhaps it's understandable, yet they're sacrificing those who did nothing wrong, innocents. They're not even sending criminals there. Orcs,
And you
even
saw what
worse.
Zarthix did.
What did Zarthix do?
When he
Perhaps I
first came
wasn't
to town.
around. He
He
conquered.
started by burning an entire town to the ground, killing everyone. Then he moved from town to town telling people either surrender or die.
War and exploitation are different.
Well, once he had everyone under his control, he then raised taxes to an extreme.
He
To the
did.
point where people starved.
And yet he subsidizes food for these starving people.
Under pressure that everything that he controls doesn't fall apart. He gives us the bare minimum so that we don't starve and die. Is that not exploitation?
Depending on where the money goes, that's the deciding factor here. If what you're saying is true and only 18% is accounted for, the question is what does the rest go to? If the rest goes to securing the safety of the land, perhaps it's justified. If the rest goes to personal gain, then I would be against it, yes. However, there are also many ways to fight it.
Like what?
You laugh. However, as you can see, we've just through dialogue, we've just made a mutually profitable arrangement that, if not completely solves the problem, but definitely alleviates it. The canals that you think about.
And when people have more money to spend, he will just tax them more so that they have. Mark my words, he'll raise taxes as soon as this goes into effect.
As soon as what goes into effect? This deal?
This.
And you think he'll raise taxes specifically for this one town?
He might. I would not be too surprised.
Well,
He's never much liked me.
perhaps then there's another thing I can help you with. I can advocate for fair treatment of this town and all other towns.
And what makes you think he'll listen to you?
Well, I've found him rather reasonable to deal with so far.
He always comes off that way. He'll say one thing and then go and do whatever he chooses. He'll give you just enough to get you on his side. She talks about him as if she hates him with every fiber of her being.
I can tell. So why do you play his game then?
Because I
Hate
have
him
no
so
choice.
much. You think that if you don't, he will destroy the city?
Yes, without a doubt. To the south of here, there are dwarves who refuse to play his game. He is still laying siege to their building, to their city. City, I should say. If it wasn't for that barrier, they'd be wiped out.
The dwarves choose to stay in their barrier? Would he murder every single dwarf if they just came out? If they dropped their barrier? Probably not.
If they surrendered, he would not. If they tried to flee, he would destroy them.
Right, he would only destroy those who try to flee. Well, would he even? You think that if you just left this town, he would chase you to the end of the world?
No, if I left this town, nothing would happen. He would just place someone else in charge.
Exactly.
In fact, that is the ideal situation for him if I quit.
I agree.
He's been waiting for me to quit for years.
Probably has. So the issues.
If I quit and leave, my people continue to suffer.
So you're here for your people, correct?
Right.
I am here for all the people in Exalia and wherever my church might be. Except for orcs. They're not really people.
I have found the same true of goblins and kobolds myself.
Haven't had the pleasure yet.
I doubt you will. Well, at least for one of them. The goblins are all but extinct these days.
One of the first things I learned was the extinction of the goblins. Was rather surprised. But that was before I met the orcs.
As a former celestial, I've got a question for you.
Yes?
Why did you come here?
To an Exalia
This world?
world. I do not believe I had a choice.
What do you mean by you don't believe you had a choice? How can't you know?
I do not know if I had one or not. I came to this world without memory. What I have regained since hasn't answered this question. So, if I had a choice, I do not know why I made it.
And do you feel like you are owed a place in this world?
As in, do I have the right to live?
Not specifically to just live, but to actually exist here. Among the people of this world.
Philosophical question. I believe at the moment that I appeared here, the question became irrelevant. So I do not think about it. Once I'm already here, I do not believe that somebody should object, so long as I follow laws, do not hurt anyone, and preferably contribute.
I agree.
Well, that's good.
I just wanted to hear what your answer was to it. Alright, what would you like to do next?
So do I feel like I've got their support? Or some guidance on what they expect me to do to show my, my intentions?
Uphold your end of things with the food, and you'll have their support.
Right. Well, I will go back to Haven and I will make sure that that's all set up.
Juliana will add that to the list.
I'm going to get my treasurer to help on that if needed, and I'm going to help myself. Don't want it to be on the list. I have a fund for this as well. How much would Juliana need to make this happen?
Alright. So, how much food do you want to make?
I believe we agreed on around 10,000 people's worth of food.
A maximum initial investment of 220,000 gold would be needed, though they can get started with less. The maximum just covers the entire process, so for
Why is it 200?
So 220,000 covers every potential expense in case all for development chances goes wrong and they have to start over.
Ah. Okay.
It's not likely to cost that much.
Would Juliana, like, I can fund that or some of that. But that would probably be at an interest, I suppose, if Juliana wants to do that, because I'm not taking any profits off the deal.
Alright, if you're not taking any profits, then the town will cover that. Alright. 1, 2. And this is at the start of the time?
It was round about the start, yes. So like Rubik's was the main target, the main first target. Rubik's and the ropeway. The ropeway. Treasurer was first. Classes. Rubik's was third, and then ropeway. No, classes are non-issue. So I think in the first year the town would only make 1 silver per food, and then it would start making 5 because of the initial investment cost. That was the math anyway that we had, the rough math.
Alright.
That is an incredibly good deal. That's crazy. Basically profitable straight from the get-go. But I guess in Celestia everyone does it this way.
That does what this way?
Counts for investments as if they need to like pay themselves off immediately for it to be worth it. It was not my intention, it just came out that way. Right? So Right.
Yeah.
Well, the children will start a bit later, right? That need to transport them, and obviously the churches need to get built, so I can do that. It's alright. Pretty much. You said it was 11,000 children again. 1,000.
Should be 11,400.
Ooh. That's a lot of taxi service.
It could be like what, 30-ish a day?
Yes. And the word of recall lets you send 5. Actually, do I have to go? Or can I just save against myself?
I suppose you could try to resist it. Yeah.
Well, I'm sure I can save against myself. I just take off my my spell focus. Take off my DC glove. And then I can easily send them with like church resources in the morning, basically. What's the cap on spell points again in the church?
Should be equal to the amount of level. So each level is 1 point towards the cap of the clerics that actually stay there.
Each level?
Yep.
Right, so basically as long as 30 clerics stay there, I can have the third. Wait, no, I need. That's spell points, right? So it's 6th level.
Yep. So
6th level times 2, 5 costs, 60 clerics. I'm not gonna have 60 clerics. I'll just have to invest some of my spell points. Okay, it's okay. I have spell points. Good. Do it until the clerics level up a bit.
all right. How you? So you're going to a Luminara, right, and casting word of recall from there.
No, because I need to send people to Luminara. Because from a Luminara they can get back for 1 gold. The issue is that they cannot go back to Luminara because it costs 100 gold. So the offer is that I can send children to Haven, and then somebody can escort them to Luminara in Haven, and they can have a week of one-on-one time with Shades clerics and paladins, teaching them the way. Which is gonna tie me up a bit, but that's okay. There's a bunch of extra benefits all these children get to go through the church as well. That's only gonna take me like a few hours to actually do, and then I'm free for the rest of the day. Like an hour, right? Just in the morning. Ship them out then. Okay. Next up, I will go into the forge, and I will see if any of them are interested in getting the buffs.
How's it work?
We perform a little ritual. Takes around 10 minutes, and it say provides you with a little edge in your crafts or whatever activities you are doing. We do need to choose the type of edge. Can make you a little bit more proficient with strength or your dexterity. And then there is another blessing which just gives a little bit of extra, I don't know, guidance to a single activity.
Alright, and you're just going to provide these?
We can certainly provide them for a time, just so that you can judge their value, after which we would be charging a fair rate for them.
How much?
A fair rate, I'm just gonna roll over here. It costs around $2.50 to perform a ritual, and it requires a cleric of some training to do. So
Right, my take home is less than that.
fair enough.
Most of our take homes will be less than that.
Interesting. I'll keep that in mind. Do they have some? Oh, obviously, like the normal one. The normal. Do they have higher level crafters who are interested in this?
They have higher level ones, but they make about the same amount.
Okay, so do people in South Frost make considerably more?
Yeah.
Okay. Can I try to investigate why? Are the people in South Frost just so much better than these? Or is there something underlying economic condition that's fucking the city over?
So it's not just the city. So inside of South Frost, the city actually pays higher wages, but also has higher expenses.
Right.
So while you might make $5 a day somewhere else, you're likely to make somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 or 15 in South Frost. You're usually expected to be much better in South. But it's constantly go, 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 go there.
Okay. Rubik's is... Well, Rubik's only has half of South Frost's price multiplier.
But food and Rubik's is, I think, 3 times the price of Sapphiros. And
Right.
that makes up for over a third of their expenses daily.
Okay. So fair
Once the
enough.
food, once your food assistance goes through, they might be in a bit better of a spot where they might actually be able to start looking at affording.
Okay. Well, okay. So we pause that for now. That's all right. We don't have to. I'll just say that we have a charity fund in the church. So depending on the needs of the city, we would be able to sometimes provide this for free. I believe healing would take priority, though. Around 50% of the resources we spent are done at no cost to the recipient.
Right.
Perhaps if it would make it easier, we could agree on an approximate amount of rituals done a day, and I guess you are able to decide who should receive them. We do not wish to play favorites or dictate, but given the limited nature, we don't assume to know better of who's in more need of this. It's a bit easier with healing.
Alright. That could be quite interesting. Sure, we'll give that a...
All right. The
Can you do, say, 10 a day?
They uh, 10 a day. Yes. Let's do 10 a day.
Alright. Your clerics would let you know that people in this town, well, city, are whenever one of them gets injured, they do not want cleric healing, but
Okay.
they're completely fine with paladins using lay on hand.
Okay. Well, clerics. Can my clerics pretend they're paladins? All right. I'm gonna have paladins touch them, and the cleric is like hidden in the confessional, casting healing word. All right. I'm going to try and talk to some of these people who do not want cleric healing and figure out what the issue is.
It's wrong to claim healing from a faith that you do not believe.
You might have a point there, yet what if this faith believes in helping everyone?
That is that faith's decision, but it is not mine, and I do not believe in it.
Well, you claim healing from paladins. All paladins have their own faith.
Paladins have a duty to the people.
Paladins have a duty primarily to themselves and their oath, which is similar to a faith. They do not actually have a duty to the people, unless their oath dictates that.
There is a substantial difference between a belief and an oath. An oath is a claim, a belief is a faith. Everyone carries their own beliefs. Lots and lots of people share beliefs. But everyone's oath, everyone's drive, that's different. No two people's oaths are the same. Everyone interprets theirs differently.
Yes, that is fair. And yet you accept help from all of these people, each of whose oaths are different.
Yes.
You don't question their oaths when you accept help from them. You have each of these paladins recite their oath before they heal you, just so you're sure that you agree with it.
But as you said, we're drawing their power for them, right? Whereas the clerics using their faith stuff for me. And that's not right.
Why is it not right?
I don't want to use their faith if I'm not a part of it.
Would you be more comfortable using their faith for a token sum? Let's say a silver coin?
Not really.
That's just procuring a service.
Profiting from their faith. That's just not right.
You think clerics should not profit from their faith?
Not really.
But paladins could profit from their conviction?
Yeah.
So what do you think? If clerics can't profit from their faith, should they starve? Or should their faith feed them somehow?
Their faith can feed them. I've seen them do it.
Not all clerics can do it. And even if their faith can feed them, can it also house them? Can it warm them? Can it provide them all the other necessities?
No, but they can work a job like the rest of us do.
And what is wrong with a job as a healer?
Nothing, but that's not what clerics are.
Also, if they wish
No.
to heal, they're healers.
No, it's about how they're doing it. The shared faith of everyone who's a part of them, and they're taking that faith and using it to create money. Every little kid who looks up to them and thinks well of them. And that cleric's using it to create money. Yeah, it might just be to survive. But someone who can't afford it, the help, goes without. And you're the people who are charging for some help and then offering free help.
We are offering free help, as much free help as we can afford. But we are also offering paid services for the needs of the clerics, and in order to sponsor healing for those who cannot afford. Nothing really goes into my pocket. My clerics receive a fair wage, just like most of you. The rest of the money is invested in education, in equipment, in growing our organization in a fund for support to our members who perhaps have accidents. No one's profiteering from this.
The people who ask and pay for their help are still paying for it. You might not be making lots of money from it, but we're still giving money in exchange for power from your faith. That's just not how it should be.
It's an interesting discussion. What about...
Faith should heal those who are a part of that faith.
So, So I get the... So they don't mean be a cleric of the faith, they mean just believe in it, right?
Yeah.
Well, fair enough. Perhaps in time, maybe even you will believe in our faith. And if you do not wish for our assistance, we will not force it on you, definitely.
We appreciate you not forcing it on us. There have been those of the Deus Church who have forced it on us in the past. Not often, but it's happened.
What if we talk about something different? Not necessarily healing, and something that will not discriminate. A service provided to everyone, free of charge. Would that be acceptable?
Like what?
Well, I was considering using the faith of my church, as you put it, to allow the children of Rubik's to visit their families once a year for several weeks.
I can't make the decision for everyone else, but I'm not too sure how I feel about that myself. It's just... like, I know your church is going out of your way to do this to help us, and we would like to see our friends and family more often, but they look very unsure on how to feel about this.
See.
I don't know the answer to that.
Very well. I suppose I will allow, well, we will allow everybody to choose whether or not they want to participate in this endeavor. And perhaps, at the very least, the children who have been sorted into our house would would be able to take advantage of it with less complications.
Your house.
Yes, there is a House Aegis was one of the houses in the academy.
How much did that cost?
I will not go. Did it cost me? What did it cost me, James? I think it cost me disbanding of my own academy.
More or less, you just got it because you requested for it.
But surely not if everybody who requested didn't get it. Or did people just not request?
So it could be for any of the following reasons: because you're a celestial, because you've got some sort of religious order, because you and your organization sold the land that the Illuminar is now built on.
Oh, I choose to think it's because we had an academy already.
Alright.
When the Luminara was constructed, we had created an academy just a few years before, and we were accepting students who wished to learn at no cost to them. With the decree that all education should be centered in Luminara, our house is, I suppose, part of the deal of compensating us for closing our academy. Speaking of, I have. You said that our clerics could have a normal job that does not require using their faith, correct?
That's correct.
One of the things that I have been considering is how should I put it? I suppose it's not a very common thing, I believe, but daycare services, the ability to entrust your child to somebody else for a period of time while you are at work or cannot care for them fully.
Well, if you can't have kids, you should. Sorry, if you can't care for your kids, you shouldn't be having.
I suppose that's a very fair point. Yet, find that some people find themselves in the position where they have to juggle work and childcare and have a difficult time. Of course, once again, this will not be in any way compulsory, but we found that in Haven, kids really liked it. Yes.
That's a strange way of doing things. Usually, if you gotta work and your spouse has to work, then you leave your kids with your parents or close friend and their kid.
Hmm.
And they play together while you're at work.
Well, this is similar. It's leaving your kids with somebody you trust and other kids, so they can play while you're at work. But perhaps if everybody has a friend or parents, then it's not needed.
I could see some people getting some use out of it. It's a strange way to do things, but I can see how that'd be some sort of useful.
Okay. Thank you for your opinion. We're building playgrounds.
Alright.
Church plus playground.
You're building McDonald's. Providing them food, playground, and a religion.
Okay, sure. I'll take it. We'll slap a playground in all the other cities' churches as well. Have the clerics who just, heal and have a shit ton of free time play with kids. Or if nobody wants to get healed, they just get to play with kids, I guess. That's a bit unfortunate if nobody wants to get healed. Yes, I guess in Rubik's would have a bit more paladins than clerics.
Yeah, they've got absolutely no issue if your paladin's using lay on hand.
Right.
They do have an issue if your paladins cast cure wounds.
Okay. Well, the paladins do not cast cure wounds, I guess. But why? Like, all paladins can cast cure wounds. Are they discriminating against my paladins based on their faith?
Yeah. They assume that they're getting the ability to cast cure wounds from their.
Can they be educated that that's not what's happening? Like, are they fine with the god paladins casting cure wounds?
No, the guard paladins just don't usually take that spell.
Well, fair enough. If nobody wants somebody to use it on you, they aren't gonna take it. Okay, well, we'll try to educate them. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. At least the dwarves will take the buffs free.
Yep, they'll take anything that lets them craft them.
They don't care what faith it comes from.
Dwarves just don't believe in faith magic.
So will they take healing then?
Well, they think that you're basically wizard druids that are deceiving yourself.
Excellent. We'll heal the dwarves.
Specifically the crafters.
Oh, the other dwarves don't think that?
The other dwarves don't think.
Well, be best friends with the crafters. Okay. Alright.
You would also notice that there are children of all ages working in the forge. Not many of them, but just children of all ages.
But are they supposed to be in the academy or not yet?
They're supposed to be in the academy.
How come are they not there?
We refuse to send.
Fair enough. I'm not gonna make a problem of that. Okay. So is Daniel is Rubik's good now?
They're not going to try and force you out of the city.
Excellent. That's good. Then we'll start taxing their kids and they're gonna learn to love us. All right. What about the cable car? Is there anything any issues with that?
I've not finalized the amount of money that it actually takes to develop that, but there's no issue with the actual development aspect.
Okay. And does Haven want to do that, or do they want me to do it and run it?
Haven's doing
it. Okay. Fair enough.
Unless you prefer it to be.
I don't necessarily. I'm fine with Haven doing it. I mean, Haven can always just donate to the church a little. If that becomes something that we need to do. So.
Speaking of, Juliana wants a cleric to be based in her area. She's going to pay for the services for the buff.
Yep. There's already. Oh, so I can add another one to Haven. All right. Is it 2 a day or 4 a day?
4.
This is from year 30?
Year 31.
Right. Okay.
She finally has the budget for.
Good job, Juliana. Okay. Ooh, which small thing would I like to go over? So we're decently good in all 4 locations. We have the church plus playground combo running. Not getting kicked out of anywhere. Okay, academy. Where are we going to year 32, right? Like the whole of 31. Right. So in year 31, how many children, when will the church buildings be done? Put it that way. $31. How many people in Rubik's are making use of taxi service? So, like, I need 1 day a week max right now. Fine. Go there once a week. And they're appreciating it, I assume. And the others are like, and the kids can work on them. Okay, they'll grow up and then they'll resent their parents for not letting them visit, and they'll let their children visit. A long game at this point. Okay, so this is fine. Okay. Is there something that so we managed to send some help over to the academy, like both managed to get some researchers there and some help for Thomas and some teachers, which is not accounted for in the spreadsheet, and I should do that. But how's that going? What kind of pressure? No named? Okay, and we have a no-name church. Right. Wondering what would constitute great. Is this? Well, would I know of something that? So I would probably like to help solve some pressing issue, right? But okay. My house is known for shade, and he's killed over 200,000 orcs. Not lead with, okay? Well, I'm gonna gather the 6 originals for a meeting and say, seems like we need to do something great. Any ideas? That's great, but we need to do something great that we can do now. Because otherwise our orc kill count is going to be what defines our house. Yeah, I also didn't have many ideas. We don't joke about that. Not yet sure about his sense of humor. Hope not. It's all right. Don't worry. It's okay. Even if he heard it, I'll make sure he understands it was a joke. We'll be all right. Helping people, making fair deals. We've been doing this on the local scale, but it's just not flashy. Exactly. That's gonna be great until the orcs find out. So for the safety of our students, we should figure something else out. Hmm. Well, why don't we broker a deal, but on a different scale? Deal that will benefit the whole of Anexalia. What does this empire need that doesn't yet have? We can figure out something. Specialists? Interesting. They leave because conditions are not favorable for them, because they can find more favorable conditions elsewhere, correct? But just having more favorable conditions elsewhere is probably not their goal. Their goal is a higher quality of life. Perhaps.
I suppose.
James, how high has Haven progressed on its quality of life?
Haven is proportionate to most towns in the Kingdom of the Sun. Most large towns, to be precise.
And these experts, do they go to just large towns, or are they going to the capital?
They go to large towns.
All right. Well, our home city, our original plan for the home city and its academy was to attract these specialists to Haven and have them stay there. Well, we can no longer have the academy. We can still ensure that the specialists know that Haven is one of their options. And besides, staying in Haven means access to our blessings, which...
Well, yeah, but what are we going to do about taxes?
Taxes are... I'm not sure that the taxes are the main problem. The problem is that the taxes cause a lower quality of life. Is that not right?
I suppose.
So as long as Haven's quality of life is high, and they're able to still make some savings even with the taxes, there's less reason for them to leave.
Less reason, I suppose, but if they're going to travel a great distance just for a job, then I think they might try to go for the best possible option, right?
And we make Haven the best possible option.
Okay, but how?
Concentration of
Regardless, they're losing like 20% more of their money at minimum. In a lot of cases, they're losing even more than that.
What are they doing with this 20% money?
Well, whenever we get paid or something, the government takes a tax, right?
Yes.
And then whenever we buy something, that's another chunk of it gone.
Yes.
They gain tax multiple times on the same thing.
Yes. Haven, as you may know, employs all the crafters directly.
Well, yeah. But that's just us. So even if we do that with them, they're still losing 30%.
They could be paid 30% more.
I suppose.
Let's see what...
Doesn't that just make our margins on whatever they produce lower?
Haven employs crafters directly and deals with the distribution. It's a wage system rather than a commission-based.
Yeah,
Which
but our
mean
margin on whatever we get them to work for 8 hours on something, we pay them 30% more for that, then assuming that whatever they make is that much better than whatever someone else might make, it's still... Isn't that basically less than if we get a bunch of lower skilled people to do the same thing for less? Marcus just seems a little spun by this. This isn't really his specialty.
If it was so simple to replace the high-skilled workers with low-skilled, this would not be an issue.
True.
There must be value in this. We just need to figure out how to achieve it. Can we get the treasurers in here?
Sure.
What what do they think of the... obviously, the church can't be involved in this. The church is not Haven, and Haven is not the church. The church...
So when it comes to these sorts of things, the higher the skilled person, the more likely they are to want a direct cut of whatever they're doing. So when you're trying to get some of the best, you're probably not going to be getting them at wages, you're going to be getting them at commission.
Is it possible to contract them with in the commission? Yes. So a cut of what they're doing. Is it possible to have a sort of a flexible contract where they would be paid based on the quality and the sale value?
Possibly. It just comes down to how much we can estimate it as being. If we can get it to be around the same amount, even a little less than what they might get somewhere else, they might be willing to stay within the same nation. Though, we're always going to have to compete with that 30% gap for that quality. We might be able to do something, though. Probably won't be able to get the best of the best, but we might be able to get the runner-ups.
The runner-ups, with our blessings, will rival the best. And with the optimized supply chains in Haven, we close that 30% gap even more. Our church will be known for providing assistance to the best crafters in the nation. We just need to get the best crafters to Haven.
Alright, but there's already a house known for being the best crafter.
That makes no sense. Aren't they all leaving? I've never seen Nathan Dares.
Exactly, he's got to be nowhere in Anexalia.
Well, so you don't think
They've
that
got a house.
right. So working with the best craft is not a great idea then.
There's potential there. The idea of the most potential so far.
And of course, the charity angle is already taken by the Deus as well.
We might be able to make it with the most prestigious employer there is. We could be known for having the best rates when it comes to employing.
But that would be more so Haven than us, I suppose.
Oh yeah, but we can blur the line slightly, can't
No,
we? Oh,
we can not be directly associated with that.
I see.
It's a little unfortunate, but such was the conditions set by Zarthix.
Uh, I think we might need to think on this a bit then.
All right, let's reconvene at our next meeting, I suppose, and see if we come up with anything else.
Alright.
I mean, we can be known for the best playgrounds in the world.
Leaning into that McDonald's, I see. Soon you'll have fast food.
Sure. Why